I want to show some real love to Cam Payne, who, when that trade was made, one, the reaction was negative. Two, even us, we were sitting here saying, well, he's not going to play. Like Kyle Lowry's going to come and he's going to play that role.
To be fair, we thought DeAnthony would re-enter the rotation at that point.
Things have changed. One, Buddy was like nailed on starter, and then now he's on the bench. Lowry ascended to the starting lineup, so it changed things a little bit. But we had, I would say, relatively low expectations for Cam. He has been a consistent difference-making guy off of the bench, and it has helped that he's having a fantastic three-point shooting season. But you brought up DeAnthony Melton, and this is part of why I wanted to get to Cam. Someone by the name of John Steinbeck on Twitter. So love your books. I'm pretty sure you're dead, but you know, Of Mice and Men and The Grapes of Wrath are classics. So I'm pretty sure this is not the John Steinbeck
what up, John?
who died in 1968, but a John Steinbeck tweeted at us through Devon and said Cam Payne is a problem for Nick Nurse. If Melton comes back, it's going to be hard to play him over Payne. I don't agree with that. But he also says he's been incredibly productive and more consistent from three than Melton. I do think Cam Payne presents a challenge for Nurse in that we said it recently. He was not getting many minutes, right? Like he played 4 minutes in was it the loss to Cleveland? And then the game before that, I think he might have been a DNP in one of the games this week.
Yep.
And you can see when he's in the rotation, he can swing a game quickly for these guys. And I think he's been better as an off-ball guy than maybe I expected. Like, I think Cam is someone who's viewed as you give him the ball and he's going to figure it out, dribbling or pull up from three, try to get to the rim, all that. He's been a decent relocator and guy figuring out spacing around the men in the middle. So he's been a complete breath of fresh air for this team. And I'm not sure how you squeeze them in when they're fully healthy. Well, let's say if they're fully
I was going to say, they were putting the cart before the horse on that one.
Assuming that DeAnthony's going to play at any point this season is probably a stretch at this point. So we'll see. But yeah, Cam is going to have to play at least a decent role on this team in the playoffs because I just think he has that microwave scoring and shooting ability that few guys on this roster have.
And look, he has the experience too with the deep run that they had with the Phoenix Suns where they went to the NBA Finals. He was a big part of that. Chris Paul missed a lot of time because he had a busted up wrist or thumb, and Cam Payne was the starter, and they kept winning with he and Devon Booker in the backcourt. He played a big role in that, so he has that experience. But to have all those ball handlers and to be able to have that, it was part of the reason why the other night when they lost to Cleveland, he played 5 minutes in that Cleveland game. And we were discussing the ball handling.
Yeah.
While they were leading a lot of that game and things really turned at the end to lose by 3, down the stretch, we were also discussing the ball handling, and he only had 5 minutes out there on the floor. The game before against the Clippers on Wednesday, he played 4 minutes in that one. So, again, it's been sporadic. It's been up and down, not knowing when he's going to be available and ready. But in the starting role here, he logs 38 minutes, gives you 24, only turns the ball over 2 times, 3 assists, only 3 assists, but he didn't hurt you. He helped you more than anything in this one. And as we talked about on the trade deadline day, Patrick Beverley brings a lot of things. But the one thing that Cam Payne absolutely has over Patrick Beverley is the scoring ability. He can do that. And if he can get going, and in a good space, he will put the ball in the bucket. And he's certainly going to be a threat to put the ball in the bucket. And if he can do this, he's gonna have to find a way in the playoffs, he's gonna want to trust people. So
sure.
If he feels like sometimes he can be a little erratic and he's gonna turn the ball over and maybe be in bad spots. But there's one thing too, though, again, he knows that the guy has experience. And games like this is what maybe the coaching staff are going to have to go back and look on and say, hey, coach, in this spot, maybe Cam for a few minutes to this 8-minute stretch that we might need right here. This is the guy. He can go off. He can get to the basket with his quickness where Lowry might struggle a little bit with, of course, now at this age.
And I'll say this about Cam too. Like, right. I think Kyle is still far ahead of him in terms of the team defense stuff. I do think Cam has played hard defensively.
Absolutely.
I think
he's
he's had issues when it's like he's in a cross match and he's 8 inches shorter than a guy or whatever it is. That's always going to be a problem for him. But the things that he can control, I think Cam has done a very good job of being in the right spots, making the right rotations, and just playing hard.
He competes.
Yeah. And that to the coaching staff, I'm sure they would prefer if Cam Payne was 6'6", right? And was not going to be a liability. And didn't have the issues with his frame that he does. But that coaching staff, I could guarantee you, go into the film room or just like during a normal watch of a game, see the effort that is there, and they will give him more leniency because they know they're going to get that. I think in many cases, it's easier to work around a guy who's that small, but cares about being good at defense than it is to have maybe someone who's got prototype size, but just doesn't give a shit. I think it's easier to work around a Cam Payne type than like a James Harden, for example.
Sometimes, but like we've seen it.
It's matchup dependent for sure.
JJ, like he can want all he wants and no team defense. Boston's still going to pick him apart and hunt the bozo. The problem is, and we brought this up before, it's not really against any of these individual players. They've just got too many players with similar deficiencies where when you get to a series like Boston, there's just a lot of bozos to pick on. That's why when you're talking about D'Anthony, gosh, that would be a great problem to have because at least that's a defensive-minded guard who can really go up and give you a chance against some of the better perimeter scorers. And then you could pick, all right, do you need sort of the stability of Kyle Lowry or do you need maybe the scoring burst of Cam Payne? I just hope we get a chance where you can pick which one you want rather than having to rely on both of them because we're relying on all of Maxey and Cam Payne and Kyle Lowry and Buddy Hield. There's just so many exploitable defenders that it's tough to find the right combination.
We all silly like the mayor.